Hi, everybody. Firstly, I just want to say welcome. We've had a couple new people join the group, but whether you've been with Dynamic Simulation for years and you're joining us or you're joining us for the first time, I'm very excited to have you on our team. So we're continuing to grow and we're reaching a point where I personally won't be at every sim session. That's obviously exciting, but it means something is becoming incredibly important to me. I want every facilitator who teaches with dynamic simulation to understand exactly what it means to represent our company. When a hospital hires dynamic simulation, they're not just hiring Sean. They're actually hiring all of us. And I want every department that works with us to have the same experience, regardless of who is facilitating that day. So I want to take some time to explain what dynamic simulation is really about, because I don't believe that we're really just a simulation company. I believe that we are a performance company. Simulation is simply the tool that we use to improve performance. Everything that we do comes back to one question: how can we help this team, this department, and ultimately the hospital provide better patient care? That is why we are there. We're not just there to run a scenario or to show people how much we know or to impress anyone. We are there to make the team better. And that's really the standard that I hope every one of you brings to each session. The first thing that I want everybody to understand is that we are consultants. We are not simply educators. When we walk into a department, we're representing dynamic simulation as trusted consultants. That means we're there to understand every department before we ever try to teach it. Every hospital is different. There's different resources. There's different staffing, patient populations, cultures, and challenges. And our job is not to compare them to another hospital. Our job is to understand where they are today and help them become better tomorrow. That means we're constantly observing things like communication, the equipment that they're using, their systems, their leadership, workflow. When we're going to ask ourselves things like what's working well, what could go better. And then those observations, as we all know, become recommendations, and then they become optimization reports that we send to the leadership team afterwards. That then becomes future education and long-term partnership, and that is why hospitals bring us back. Every hospital is different. Read the room, adapt to the program, and serve the team in front of you. The second thing is probably the most important philosophy that we have as a company. So at Dynamic Simulation, we believe that exceptional patient outcomes are created by exceptional teams, not exceptional individuals. You do not need to be the smartest physician or the smartest nurse or the smartest respiratory therapist. Medicine is way too complex for any one person to know everything. Healthcare is a team sport, and our job is to help teams function better under pressure. When teams communicate well, when they share information, when they trust one another, and when they develop a shared mental model, patient care improves. That philosophy changes how we teach. And clinical medicine, although clinical medicine is incredibly important and evidence matters and guidelines matters, those are not things alone that save the patients. As we all know, teams save the patients. And that's why our debriefs spend as much time as possible discussing crisis resource management as they do discussing clinical medicine. Sometimes we spend more time on CRM. So CRM, again, is discussing the communication, shared mental models, closed loop communication, task delegation, situational awareness, speaking up, supporting one another, helping teams think together instead of simply working beside each other. And you hear me talk about shared mental model over and over again in every session. I know some of you probably ad nauseum, and that is intentional because I believe that the one single most important thing in healthcare is that concept. That when everyone understands what is happening, what the plan is, what could happen next, where we are, where we're going, teams perform better. And we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that. And I'll create some separate videos on exactly how I would like you to teach those concepts. But I also encourage each and every one of you to actually develop your own style. Don't exactly copy me, just understand the philosophy and then teach it in a way that feels authentic to you. Again, building a shared mental model, CRM, such a huge thing in our program. The third thing is adaptability. There is no such thing as a standard sim session. Every group is different. Some groups are incredibly experienced. Others haven't managed a critically ill patient in months. Some need to be challenged, and others need just a little bit of confidence. Some cases should run uninterrupted, and then others should stop after a couple of minutes. If a team rushes into an area without a plan, if medications aren't prepared or rock is pushed before sedatives, if nobody knows who's doing what, there's actually tremendous educational value in stopping that session. And you've seen me do this before. We'll pause, we'll talk, and then we'll reset, and then you'll have them do it again. Sometimes we're going to repeat that process several times. That's called rapid cycle deliberate practice. Learning is always more important than finishing the scenario. Again, I want to repeat that learning is always more important than finishing the scenario. Never become so committed to the script that you forget that there is a learner, a team or a group of learners standing in front of you. The fourth thing is psychological safety. And one of the nicest compliments that we receive, I think after every session or during sessions, is that people were not expecting to have so much fun. Yes, we are serious about education. We're evidence-based. We're experts in our field, but we're also approachable. We laugh and we joke and we create memorable moments. We celebrate success and we normalize mistakes, because mistakes made in sim prevent mistakes being made with patients. People don't learn when they're afraid of being embarrassed. They are going to learn when they feel safe enough to think and ask questions, make mistakes, and try again. That is the environment that we create. The fifth thing that I think we should all be taking into these sessions is that we don't believe education belongs in professional silos. We teach teams. If we're teaching an awake intubation, we're not only just teaching the physician, we're teaching the nurses, RT, and everyone in the room, because everybody has a role. Everyone needs to understand what's happening, and everyone becomes another teacher after the session is over. One of my favorite pieces of feedback came from a nurse who told me that she later helped guide a physician through an awake intubation because she remembered what we had practiced together. We've also heard some similar stories about Blakemore tube insertions and other rare procedures. Aaron can attest to that. That's exactly what we want. We want to know that knowledge should not stay with the person that attended the session. It should spread throughout the department. Education should ripple outward. That's how departments improve. That's how cultures change. And the smartest thing, and the final thing that I want everyone to remember is this. Never try to prove that you are the smartest person in the room. That is not why you're there. You are there to understand the room. You're there to listen, to observe, to coach. You are there to challenge, and you're there to support. And you're there to leave that team stronger than when you arrived. And if we do that consistently, if every facilitator who wears a dynamic simulation shirt, scrub top, sweater maybe to come, shares these values, then people will not simply remember that they attended a simulation session. They're going to remember that they experienced dynamic simulation. That is what we are building together. And I could not be more excited to have each and every one of you helping to build it. Thank you for everything that you do. Let's continue raising the standard together.